Welcome back to Ask the Lawyer. I'm Carissa Farley. Joining me today is attorney Pete Losavio, an attorney with Losavio and Dijon LLC in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Mr. Losavio's practice is limited to asset protection, life care planning and estate and tax planning, and long-term care. He's admitted to practice by the United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. So we were just talking about why you don't want to wait until you get sick, that there's a 60-month period. Why is that 60 months important?
Medicaid looks back, the Department of Health and Hospital looks back over that 60 months, and if they determine that you made any transfers that would give rise to a period of ineligibility, then they will impose that period of ineligibility. And that period of ineligibility is determined by taking the value of the gift and dividing by $4,000, which is the divestiture penalty. $4,000 is the average cost of care in the state of Louisiana. So for example, if you made a gift of $40,000, it would disqualify you for 10 months. If you made a gift of $80,000, you take 80,000 divided by 4, it would disqualify you for 20 months, and so on.
Well, I'm a little bit confused because I had, you hear different bits and pieces of information. I had heard that you can give away $13,000 per year, although I'm seeing from your visual, $13,000 isn't going to get you far, but at the time it sounded like a good idea.
Well, a lot of people confuse that because again, there's different rules for different areas of law. The $13,000 has to do with the gift tax, the federal gift tax exclusion. There is no exemption for Medicaid purposes. So if you gave away $13,000, you don't pay any federal gift tax. But that $13,000 would cause you to become, if it was within the 60 months, that $13,000 would cause you to become ineligible for 3 1/4 months, because you take the $13,000 divided by 4. 4 times 3 is 12, and you have 1 left over. 1 over 4 is a quarter. So it'd be 3 1/4 months that you would be ineligible to receive government benefits and that you would have to private pay. This is a real danger for people that maybe say like grandma's going to pay for grandchild's education, or gives to her church, or gives to her children. And she could be perfectly healthy when she did that. And then later, who knows what's going to happen to them in 60 months, because we don't know what God has in store for us.
Well, then it kind of sounds like simple gift giving isn't a good Medicaid planning strategy.
Gift giving works if you do it 60 months in advance and you know you're going to stay healthy.
Okay, this gets complicated. What if you or your spouse is already in a nursing home?
Well, there are most people don't realize this, but there are strategies that you can utilize to protect your life savings. It's never too late to protect your life savings. The only time that it's too late to protect your life savings is when you've already spent the money. Once you've spent the money, myself or anybody else can't recover it for you. But if you go seek advice before you spend it all, we can help you save whatever you have left, because there are different strategies that are available, such as annuities, work well with a married couple. We have life insurance. There's exempt transfers. There are a whole arsenal of different techniques that we can use to protect a single person or married couple's life savings.
And again, when I went to see my attorney, who's a good friend, he didn't mention any of this. He just did a will, a durable power of attorney, a physician's directive, and set up a living trust. So this is something that you really have to talk to somebody who specializes in this?
Yeah. Well, the attorney that you went to see did an excellent job of doing estate planning, because all the documents that you mentioned are what's typically used for estate planning. What we've been talking about is not estate planning. We've been talking about life care planning, Medicaid planning, and Medicaid crisis planning. Entirely, it's like what's good maybe when those documents were prepared is not good today, because that person has become ill and needs long-term care.
So now that we've kind of run over this, I'm looking at the last remaining assets, the car and the house. Do we need to do something to protect the house?
Well, a lot of people don't do anything to protect the house, and that's a mistake. And I explain to you why that's a mistake. The Medicaid recipient is in the nursing home, has $38 a month. Who's going to pay for the maintenance, insurance, and taxes, and maybe or possibly the mortgage note on this house? Well, not coming out to $38 a month, so who's going to pay that? Well, probably the children. So the children are going to be paying several $100s a month and maybe a mortgage note. And they're going to pay that for the whole time that the parent's alive because they're interested in getting the house. Now, when the parent dies, the state shows up, the Louisiana Department of Health and Hospitals, and they say, we want to be reimbursed. And we want to be reimbursed for nursing home services, home care services, prescription drugs, and hospital services. That can add up to a lot of money. It usually adds up to be more than the value of the house. So therefore, the state of Louisiana ends up with the house. So if you don't do any planning, the state's going to end up with the house. Now, there are strategies that we can utilize to protect the house, such as mortgages, reverse mortgages, or certain transfers of the house are exempt from making a person ineligible for Medicaid. So you need to consult with somebody who can look over the various strategies and determine which one's right to protect the home.
So the revocable living trust that I had set up thinking that's used for asset protection, I wasn't thinking right, was I?
No, common misconception. Revocable living trust, or living trust, as people refer to them, are good for avoiding probate. That's their primary purpose. They're of no benefit for asset protection and can actually be harmful for Medicaid purposes because they're still an available resource. The person hasn't moved that asset out of their estate. So when they become ill, the state of Louisiana is going to say, you still have that asset. And if you put the house into the revocable living trust, they're going to make you take the house out of the revocable living trust, or if you leave it in the revocable living trust, you're not going to qualify for Medicaid.
So if this wasn't complicated and difficult enough, tell me about long-term care. A lot of times children will take their parents into the house to take care of them in the home. What are some of the mistakes that people make in doing that?
Basically, they make three mistakes. One is they do not consider the potential liability of having that caregiver in a home. Secondly, they don't consider the tax consequences of paying that caregiver. And third, they don't do any planning to considering down the road qualifying for government benefits.
A lot of times, too, people will hire somebody like a sitter to take care of a parent. Are there mistakes that are made when that's done as well?
Yes, Carissa, that's what I was talking about. When the person is hired, they have a tendency to treat them as independent contractors and not as employees. So they're treating this person as an independent contractor. Now, they don't withhold on that person. So they're not paying the Social Security, they're not paying not withholding the taxes. Now, that person probably is an employee. Now, if that person's an employee, what's the consequences? Well, the IRS is going to say that they are liable for the employer and employee share of the Social Security tax, and also the income taxes that they've failed to withhold. So that can be a potentially large liability, but that's not the largest liability. The largest liability could arise when that caregiver is lifting the parent into the bed or taking the parent out of the bed or putting them into a wheelchair and hurts their back. Say they rupture a disc. Now, we all know, or people that are in the personal injury area know, that a ruptured disc can be several millions of dollars. Now, there's two things. The state of Louisiana says that if you have an employee, it's a criminal offense not to have them covered with workman's comp. You've been treating that person as an independent contractor, so you don't have workman's comp insurance on them. So, and your homeowner's insurance probably doesn't give you any coverage. So now you may be looking at a very, very large liability that could wipe you out financially.
If you're not wiped out already. Scary, really scary. So what you're telling us is that most people are failing to plan for government benefits, and that's what has to happen?
Well, That's the third thing that they don't do. They don't plan for government benefits. And by this is, we all love our parents, or if you take your parent into your home, quite obviously you have some love and affection for them. And you're doing this because you love them. However, the Department of Health and Hospitals allows the parent to pay you for that care. And if you're not doing that, then you're making a gift to the state of Louisiana every day that you do not seek that payment. Because why? Well, parent stays in the home, say they have $50,000, and you're taking care of them and they keep their $50,000, and all of a sudden they have to go into a nursing home. That $50,000 has to be spent down. They could have been paying you $7,000 or $10,000 a month to take care of them while you were taking care of them in their home or your home. So what you've done is you've made a gift to the state.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today. If you need someone who understands the puzzle of putting together all the different programs and issues that you or your parents are faced with, you need an expert in elder law. Losavio and Dijon has the knowledge and credentials to simplify these difficult times for you. They've prepared a brochure for you on the 7 common mistakes people make when applying for government benefits, and a brochure on applying for Veterans Affairs benefits. Please call their offices for free copies of the brochures at 225-769-4200 or visit their website at www.losaviodijon.com. That's it for this edition of Ask the Lawyer. I'm Carissa Farley, and we'll see you next time.